Hey, how you doing? There was a Nova special on the creation of the James Webb Telescope. It's a much larger array than the Hubble telescope. The images actually, even though the secondary mirror is substantially larger than that found on the Hubble telescope, substantially larger, the images are not that much more impressive. They appear to be about 15% more impressive, which is actually saying not a lot. Not a lot. So, well, you look 20 billion years further back into the universe because of the speed of light, and of course, every scientist that works on this thing still suffers the same thing everybody else does. They never understood what Walter Russell said, and Nikola Tesla said, and Eric Dollard said. Light's not an emission, and light doesn't have a speed. It's the rate of induction or hysteresis of the ether. So they all suffer that, which is fine. These people are actually proof that you can be brilliantly intelligent and yet incredibly stupid. And this, of course, is the difference between episteme, i.e. empirical knowledge, very smart, high IQ, and actual wisdom, where you actually understand the nature of things in natural order. And these people are... One thing I found really, really, really funny is that the Nova Special on the James Webb Telescope ends... it was finished up just like a few weeks ago. It ends like the first week of July, and all these people are sitting in the room, looking at their computer screens. They're all about 7 feet apart, and everybody's got a face diaper on. Some of them have 2 face diapers, and I couldn't help myself. It's incredibly amusing to me, anyway. But every branch of current science believes in the Big Bang. There's a neat little book, and I have it. It's called The Big Bang Never Happened. The Big Bang, of course, is completely ludicrous. String theory is completely ludicrous. It doesn't follow common sense. It is actually very much akin to a religion or a belief system. The Big Bang certainly never happened. You're talking about, they'll say, well, it was this super dense nothing, and all of a sudden, we don't know why, there's a release of energy, and like everything popped into the... that is so much more radical than anything in any religion or any belief system. It requires the total suspension of any type of common sense imaginable. Of course, the Big Bang. By the way, did you know, very funny, I forget his name, the guy that came up, since it sounds like a religion, it is. The person that came up, look it up too, by the way. The person that came up with the insane idea of the Big Bang was a Catholic priest. Did you know that fact? Did you know that? I bet you didn't know that. It's completely ludicrous, of course. So string theory doesn't follow common sense or logic. Big Bang, of course, is completely ludicrous. So what we're seeing here is some sort of unknown force overcame, since the entire universe, by their own belief in this craziness dreamt up by a Catholic priest. So there's this supermassive nothing, which of course is ludicrous on its own prima facie, and some sort of super energy overcame the super compactness of the entire mass of the... Like they think that all matter in the universe was like in some sort of super ball, but it wasn't really a ball, it was nothing. It's just... And these people don't believe in the ether, by the way. And I don't care what they believe in or don't believe in. They actually... And by the way, the word ether to these scientists is so despised. It's like screaming out devil in the middle of a church service. They have different words for the ether, but they absolutely refuse to acknowledge the ether. They call it quantum foam. They call it dark energy, dark matter. These are just euphemisms for the ether, but that's not what this is about. There is nature's free energy matrix. By the way, you should look this up. There's many different images like this. It's called the starburst galaxy of Centaurus A. These are called astrophysical jets, and they're also two called galactic jets. They're both in reference to one and exactly the same thing. You'll see these supermassive black holes are typically galaxies emitting out trillions and trillions and quadrillion trillion tons of hydrogen on these gyromagnetic precessional axes of the accretion disks of these galaxies, or the black holes. Doesn't make any difference because the center of all the galaxies, which is one thing they have right, are these supermassive black holes. So there is this energy matrix, and what they've failed to do is actually put two and two together for something that's really, really simple. And it's no different than an AC generator, which is not an AC generator at all, but that which manifests energy. To manifest energy, of course, we have to have a rotating magnetic field, but of course the magnetic field itself is rotating due to gyromagnetic precession. But the gyromagnetic precessional rotation of the magnetic field itself has to be also, too, rotated with respect to time. And this is the temporal variable against a dielectric reflector, a so-called AC generator. In very simple terms, and I came up with this, thank you very much, you're welcome, is an inside-out magnet where we have the plane of inertia on the outside, the dielectric reflectance, and we have the magnetic field on the inside, the complete opposite of a magnet and the complete opposite of natural order of Mother Nature. And of course, when that's rotated with respect to time, we end up with torsion generated from the ether, whereby which power is sent down the lines to all our little homes, and we turn our computers on and our lights and our air conditioner and all that stuff. We all take energy for granted, of course. But AC generators, of course, don't generate power. They manifest power. But there's a free energy matrix in nature. We can completely dismiss Big Bang Theory, which was religious nonsense. I mean, at absolutely every aspect, it sounds like and is religious nonsense created by a Catholic priest. Go look that up if you don't believe me. We have string theory nonsense, which has actually been disproven even by these so-called scientists quite some. When's the last time you heard anybody talk about string theory? So all this stuff is nonsense. We can't have like all the matter in the entire universe in this infinitesimally small, they actually say, their words, not mine, non-existent point. It's just such religious nonsense. It's just so crazy. So we had this incredible force overcome the highest density of every speck of matter in the entire universe, which is completely crazy. Overcome it, and which of course led to, it's just religious nonsense. It's absolutely craziness. It's so insane it makes reading any religious text seem sane by comparison. Anyway, we have these natural free energy matrix of either black holes or the actual black holes, supermassive black holes. They're the centers of galaxies. By the way, you can see this in many, many images, real images too, by the way, okay, which I'm not contesting this with any of these so-called astrophysicists. They're called galactic jets or astrophysical jets, meeting out trillions and trillions and trillions of... So most of the energy, let's just think about this for a second, because it's incredibly important, and none of these so-called scientists, these super nerds that are all... I was watching the James Webb Telescope. They were actually, one of their best images, which is better than Hubble's deep field view, which was, I think it was like a 20-day exposure of the darkest patch of sky. Hubble deep field view showed hundreds and hundreds of galaxies in the darkest patch in the sky. And the new James Webb Telescope, one of the first images was basically the same thing except a little better. Actually a lot better. We took a grain of sand held at arm's length distance in the sky. Yeah, and the exposure didn't take 20 days. I think it only took a few hours. So that black spot in the sky, the size of a grain of sand held at arm's length distance, showed hundreds and hundreds of galaxies. Absolutely fantastic. The image, of course, is real. Of course, it is digitally enhanced. But just think about that for a second. Think of the upteen, there's not enough zeros in the universe to come up with enough matter to show what even the visible universe with our own naked eyes would have for matter, much less a grain of sand held at the arm's length distance where you see hundreds of galaxies, and each galaxy, of course, has hundreds of thousands of stars, and goodness knows how many planets and life on it and so forth. And these are the same fools that here's the Big Bang. Got redshift, blue shift. We all started at one point. That's not true. Redshift and blue shift is not up for debate. However, their explanation is up for debate. There's no such thing as a Big Bang. The point is getting to nature's free energy matrix, which is undeniable. It is nature's free energy matrix. People say, well, these galactic jets, these astrophysical jets, are emitting out trillions and quadrillion tons of hydrogen, which they are. That's not up for debate either. But it's not like it is there already. As I've spoken endlessly, of course, all matter is a compound of hydrogen, and hydrogen itself, several magnitudes above that of gamma radiation, is nothing other than high-energy light. Yep, at the gyromagnetic or low frequency, the precessional axis of these either supermassive black holes or the center of these galaxies, we have ultra high-energy light, way above that of gamma radiation, which we call matter. which matter's most simplex. Kind of like Legos, you see a big Lego structure. Most simple aspect, all Lego structures, right, not that I'm into Legos, are composed of these little Lego bricks, right? Well, nature's fundamental matter, of course, is a little simple Lego brick of which everything is built, whether it's gold, silver, hydrogen, helium, blah, 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 is hydrogen. Because everything is a compound of hydrogen. Now this hydrogen, these quadrillion tons being emitted out by all these galaxies, a grain of sand held at arm's length distance, you see hundreds of galaxies, quadrillions of tons out of each and every galaxy and or each and every supermassive black hole is not something that was there and was flung out, rather is manifest as the energy matrix which these things are. And getting back to an AC generator, these of course are supermassive structures, beyond our reckoning. They're so huge. Let's see what they have in common with an AC generator, which is not an AC generator, rather an AC power manifester. They have moving magnetic fields from geomagnetic precession, also too called the Lamore frequency. They have a temporal disparity. Yeah, this is the temporal component necessary for the manifestation of power. The only thing these things are manifesting, instead of electricity, in the case of our simple little so-called AC generators, is they're manifesting ultra high energy light, which is hydrogen. This is the simplest, most divine, most beautiful, most unific, and simple explanation for the spontaneous growth of the universe and generation of matter that there is, with these special structures, centers of galaxies, which is nothing other than a field form. Eric Dollard uses this, as well as Walter Russell. An AC generator is an arch form. An arch form, of course, is just a geometric structure. Yeah, kind of like Nikola Tesla's one-way water valve. I don't know if you're familiar with. That's just a geometry. Well, the geometry for the manifestation of power is itself an arch form. Well, the arch form for the manifestation of ultra-high energy light, i.e. hydrogen, is itself a supermassive structure which is an arch form. The Big Bang is ridiculous. These galaxies are spawning themselves in slow motion, of course, way slower than any of us could have conception of as far as time is concerned. But we can see these. By the way, look at the images. Once again, there's a lot of different images, but one example is the starburst galaxy of Centaurus A, where we see 10 quadrillion tons of hydrogen being emitted at the geomagnetic precessional axis of the galaxy. Thousands of galaxies held, a grain of sand held at the arm's length from the new Webb telescope. Looking at the darkest spot in the sky, didn't take 20 days to get the exposure. Just took a matter of hours. Much larger secondary mirror. Makes plenty of sense. However, the images are not that more super fantastic than Hubble, but they are palpably better. I mean, they look to me like 20 to 30% max, really. Matter didn't begin here, this Big Bang nonsense. Come up with a Catholic priest, by the way. It's religious nonsense. With that special supermassive energy structure, these galaxies, the supermassive black holes, they are, by nature of their own arch-form geometry, spontaneously generating quadrillions of tons of hydrogen. And every element, and this is something I and every scientist agrees on, everything is a compound of hydrogen. But what is hydrogen itself? If everything is a compound of hydrogen, which it is, gold, silver, plutonium, uranium, argon, tungsten, every element in the periodic table. If everything, of course, is a compound of hydrogen, what then, therefore, is hydrogen? Just super high energy light. That's all it is. The matter didn't start here and get flung out there. Sure it did. Redshift, blue shift. Redshift and blue shift are not up for debate. The explanation of why there is redshift and blue shift, why things are moving apart from each other, the actual end answer to that is magnetism, but that's a matter for another video. Matter didn't begin here. A Big Bang, all the matter was there in the entire universe. Because these scientists have been saying this for decades. Big Bang! All matter in the whole universe is already there, and he's boom! For some unknown reason. No, that's not what happened. These galaxies and supermassive black holes, by their very definition, are generating more and more matter. Every ancient form of metaphysics says the universe does roll up, blink away, and of course, it is not all rolling up and re-emerging, as the Vedas seem to indicate, but it doesn't really say that. Sections of it roll up and then, of course, re-emerge. You know, from the perspective of humanity, a single galaxy alone would be the whole universe. So these galaxies do roll up, yeah, poof, and re-emerge. So that's true. They reciprocate. They manifest and they demanifest. But that energy arch form, we have our own little energy arch form. AC generators, which don't generate power at all, they manifest it. Mother Nature has her own arch form that manifests not power, but it is power, manifests the building block of the entire universe, which is 100% undeniably hydrogen. We can get rid of the string theory nonsense. We could get rid of that garbage invented by a Catholic priest. Big Bang. This is so ludicrous. Stephen J. Carruthers refuted that. There are many books refuting it. It's religious twaddle. This makes the universe so much more simple, so much more divine. It follows Occam's razor. It is a universe which is actually elegant. There's a book called Elegant Universe. It's written by one of those cult of quantum guys. I won't mention his name. I know his name, but I'm not going to mention it. That's not an elegant universe that he's talking about in his book. It's religious twaddle. Big Bang. Sure, yeah, okay. Big Bang never happened, which is the title of a book. It's a pretty good one, too. Humanity keeps coming up with these convoluted ideas as to the nature of Mother Nature herself. And they're convoluted trash. What if Mother Nature had an arch form, which she does, and this arch form itself spontaneously generated not power, but it is power. See, we're interested not in of course, if we had hydrogen, we could have hydrogen cars and hydrogen fuel cells. So hydrogen is energy. Some cars out there actually run on hydrogen. Hydrogen is energy. See, we're worried about electricity, yeah? Well, you turn hydrogen, you burn hydrogen, you generate electricity. It's really, really easy. That technology has been around for decades. Mother Nature's not interested in electricity. She's interested in hydrogen. All matter is a compound of hydrogen. And Mother Nature's arch form for the generation of hydrogen is that. That is elegant. That is simple. That follows Occam's razor. That follows natural order. That is the dreadlocks, hairy armpit, hemp skirt, muddy feet Mother Nature that Mother Nature actually is. And that is a simple view into the simplicity of the universe. Not simplex, but simple. Makes it divinely simple. Thank you so much for watching. Lux Severitas.